Welcome, dear listeners, to another episode of the Appraisal Buzzcast, a place where insight meets intrigue and the art of valuation collides with the world of lending. Today, we're honored to shine a spotlight on the winner of this year's Lender of the Year award. But before we roll out the proverbial red carpet, let's reflect on the delicate and vital relationship between lenders and appraisers. At the heart of every loan is a question of collateral risk, the critical calculation of whether the asset behind the dollars is worth the paper it's written on, and who shoulders the immense responsibility of ensuring that risk is properly assessed. That's right, it's us, appraisers. How does a lender treat these unsung protectors of sound investments? With respect, collaboration, or something a touch more transactional? What makes a lender stand out, not just in their balance sheets, but in their ability to truly partner with appraisers in safeguarding the foundation of every deal? Well, today's guest has managed to rise above the fray, earning accolades not just for their lending prowess, but for their commitment to fostering trust and partnership in an industry where the stakes are high and the margins often razor thin. Stick with us as we uncover the story behind the title, the philosophy behind the award, and the person behind the recognition. It's a conversation you don't want to miss.
Are you ready to take your career in real estate appraisal to the next level? Join the Appraisal Institute, your go-to source for expert insights, industry trends, and the latest updates from the world of valuation. Whether you're an experienced appraiser or just starting out, they bring you industry resources, classes, and all the knowledge you need to stay ahead. Join today and be part of a community that's shaping the future of the appraisal profession. Visit appraisalinstitute.org to learn more and become a member. You're listening to the Appraisal Buzzcast with your host, Hal Humphreys.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're so excited for today's episode where we're going to be talking about the Buzzy Award winner for Lender of the Year in this series of Buzzy Award winner introductions. Let me bring back in Hal. Hal, how are you doing?
Jim, I'm doing great today. It's good to see your face.
Well, it's good to be here, and we are excited to have our Buzzy Award winner for Lender of the Year, DHI Mortgage, on, and representing them will be Steve Tessman, the Appraisal Relationship Manager. Let me bring him in. Hey, Steve.
Hey, hello. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. Steve, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We are absolutely excited to have DHI Mortgage as our Buzzy Award winner for Lender of the Year. Steve, if you don't mind, tell us about DHI Mortgage. What areas do you cover? How long have you been in business? That kind of thing.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I just want to say everyone at DHI is just thrilled that we receive this honor from you guys. But for those not familiar, DHI Mortgage is a builder-affiliated lender. We're affiliated with D.R. Horton, the nation's largest home builder by volume since 2002. D.R. Horton was started back in 1978 by Donald Horton in Fort Worth, Texas. In 1987, DHI Mortgage started originating loans. And as of today, DHI Mortgage has, approximately just more than 2,000 employees nationwide, and we're operating and building in 36 different states.
That is impressive. Now, Steve, how long have you been with DHI Mortgage?
So I've been with DHI Mortgage for a little over 4 years now. I started right in the middle of COVID in August of 2020. And, quite honestly, Hal, it's been really one of the most satisfying parts of my professional life. My team and I have accomplished so much in these 4 years. I mean, we've grown our appraiser panel 4 times its original size. I've been able to hire and collaborate with some incredible people and meeting and interacting with so many different people and colleagues in the industry. Jim and I were talking earlier. I'm a huge fan of Val Expo. I'm attending my first AX conference in April. Excited for that. And just meeting and networking and, talking to other appraisers. It's just an exciting time right now in the appraisal industry.
Yes, it is. No doubt about that. Well, let's talk about the relationship between lenders and appraisers. Why do you think you guys got so many votes for Lender of the Year?
I think being an appraiser myself just brings an extra level of credibility. As an appraiser, I've received the same requests that we're currently asking our panel appraisers, and having that insight and kind of knowing how appraisers think, just because, we're kind of a different breed. It just brings a deeper understanding and really empathy that from someone that's really not an appraiser. I know when DHI was looking to fill this position 4 years ago, they were specifically looking for an appraiser, I think, for these reasons. So kudos to them for that. I think another thing too, with being an appraiser, everyone at DHI appreciates our appraisers. We don't think of them as an external vendor. It's more as a partner, and it's a partnership. We're all working towards the same common goal, is to get the homeowner, the borrower into the home. We keep them apprised of the latest industry updates. We have calls and webinars for our panel appraisers. We send out a monthly newsletter with reminders and updates. And the response I get back from a lot of those is really appreciative. A lot of our appraisers are 1 or 2 person appraisal companies. And, they might not be in tune with the updates and what's really going on in the industry. So I think they really enjoy it and appreciate sharing all that information. I try to always ask myself, what would I as an appraiser want to know? Or, before I call an appraiser, I'm always thinking, how would I have handled this certain situation? I always tell my team, you get more bees with honey, right? It's not always what you say, but how you say it. And, I just think that goes a really long way. And I think a lot of our appraisers see that and feel that. And hopefully, that's, why they, gave us this honor of being lender of the year. It's nice to know that they appreciate us as much as we appreciate them.
I think, one of the comments I noticed in the voting was DHI Mortgage treats appraisers with respect. There's a lot of talk out there about appraisers being a friction in the industry and something to slow the process down. The take I got from it was that the appraisers you guys work with get the feeling that you guys respect them. You look to them to help you figure out what this asset is worth. It's a proper collaboration, not just file stuffing.
Yeah, I would agree 100% with that. And that, I think, goes to, like I said, everybody kind of views them as a partner, not a necessity, or an external vendor. Like I said, we're all working towards a common goal, and that's, to do what's best for the borrower, and which is ultimately getting into their new home. So yeah. I do think that goes a long way. And, it's the golden rule, right? Treat others as you want to be treated. And, it's, it's business, yes, but kindness goes a long way.
I teach a class on appraisal review, and I tell people in the class the number 1 rule of appraisal review, according to Hal Humphreys, is be kind. And going back to what you said earlier, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Reviewing appraisals is, in my estimation, is a way to help us all be better appraisers. So I approach it with that attitude. And I think that's what I'm getting from the people that voted on this about your relationship with appraisers. Let me ask you this, Steve. There's a lot of trepidation and fear in the appraisal community right now about the future of the industry. What do you see happening in the next year or so?
Boy, if there's one word I think to describe, 2025 in the appraisal industry, it's probably change, right? We're going to see more change in this industry in the next 2 years than we have probably the previous 30. I've been an appraiser now. I'm in my 33rd year, and, there hasn't been a whole lot of change. 1004's been there forever, it seems like, so I think appraisers need to accept that change, right? Part of the change is in the technology space. I was, when I started appraising, it was, rubbing the little arrows on for the comps on the, the map, and, getting the photos from the 1 hour photo. 1 hour photo, in fact, was just getting going, back in the early 90s, so, you have to be able to accept the technology. We're going to have the new UAD. There's so many innovative programs out there for the individual appraiser, which I think is great, which I think is a huge help to the appraisers. I hope they accept it and embrace it. Technology is advancing our profession. We either need to adapt and accept if you want to remain relevant, or, who knows what could happen. I mean, a statement that still resonates with me from Val Expo back in August, and I can't remember who said it, one of the panelists, but it's better to embrace technology now than to be relegated with it in the future.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Think,
The thing that goes through my mind is get on the train or risk being left at the station.
Yeah, great analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. And you said all you hear is doom and gloom, right? I think we're going to lose some appraisers, once the new UAD especially really gets rolling. Yeah. But I think the appraisers that accept the technology are going to be able to cover that. They're going to pick up that that workload from those that are leaving the industry, because the technology is that great out there right now.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. Okay, let's do this. I want to take a real quick break and hear from one of our sponsors, and we will be right back.
LIA Administrators and Insurance Services, serving valuation professionals since 1978. We provide E&O insurance with a commitment to superior customer service, outstanding liability education, and unmatched claim defense. Explore our exclusive appraiser liability education by Peter Christensen and cost-effective seminars designed to foster your growth. Our underwriters, with an average of 26 years of experience each, are dedicated to supporting appraisers. Visit liability.com to discover how LIA can safeguard your business.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Appraisal Buzzcast. I'm Hal Humphreys, your host, and I'm joined today by Steve Tessman. Steve, again, thank you for being here. I'm tickled to have you here representing DHI Mortgage as our Buzzy Award winner for Lender of the Year this year. Jim Morrison is the one that created the Buzzy Awards kind of out of whole cloth, and it seems to be one of the most fun things we've done here in a long time. So again, congratulations to you. Thank you for being here. Now, Steve, I'm going to just let you know right now, since Jim's in the room, he does this thing to me every week, just about every week, where he hits me with a question where he's trying to trip me up, like an anonymous appraiser question, to show the world how stupid I am. Jim, do we have an anonymous appraiser question for this week?
We do, and we appreciate all the questions from our appraisers. You can reach out at comments@appraisalbuzz.com if you have a question for one of our experts. This one came in after we did the Buzzcast with you in Ireland, Hal, and it happens to be a mansion of a different type. It says, I happen to be appraising a 10,000 square foot mansion in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, built in 1879 on 3.5 acres. There's no usable comps as they're 100 to 30 miles away, and few potential buyers would look that far. My only recourse is the cost approach, but how accurate can that be on valuing a 146-year-old mansion?
Steve, do you have any thoughts on that?
My first thought that pops in my head is competency, right? It seems like there's not a lot of these properties in this area. So there's probably not a lot of orders for these appraisals. So one, make sure you're competent, right? If you're not, obviously decline the order, or if you don't want to get competent. Personally, I would probably reach out to, if you have an appraisal mentor, and then your colleagues, right? And just say, hey, look, this is what I got. How would you handle this? Right? This is what I'm thinking. Am I going down the right path? What would you do, and so forth. The next thing I would, he said there weren't any comps on there. I would go back in time, right? I mean, find something similar versus going, 100 miles away, an older sale, similar, versus something more distant on it. So I would go back in time. I also might have a conversation with the lender, right? I'm assuming it's for lending purposes. I don't think you really stated that, but maybe a 1004 isn't really the right way to go. I mean, a narrative appraisal pops into my head. You might be able to provide more value to the client with a narrative appraisal on it. So lots of options. I mean, one of the many hats we wear as appraisers is solving problems, right? And this is one where you got to put your hat on and see how to handle it.
Yeah, and I agree with you on all points. I will say this, from a valuation perspective, I'm thinking of, yes, this is a unique property. It is possible to value unique properties. I'm not offended by going further back in time to find something that is comparable. I'm not opposed to going further away to find something that is comparable. At the end of the day, when you think about utility and the market, people who are going to be looking at buying properties like this, maybe there's a limited group of people that would look at buying this property in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. But there are similar people across the country looking to buy similar properties in other locations. So I don't think you can rule out sales from other parts of the country as valid indicators of what this might sell for. At the end of the day, what we're looking for is, as Steve pointed out, be aware of your competency. If you don't feel like this is in your wheelhouse, call in someone to help you out. You got to let your client know that you don't feel competent. And this is one of the weird businesses where admitting a lack of competency does not preclude you from getting the job. You just bring someone else in that is comfortable with this kind of property to help you out, number one. Number two, expand your research. Go further away, go further back in time, find some comparable sales that you can use. Are you going to find a model match? Likely not. It's when you're talking about a 10,000 square foot mansion on 3.5 acres built in 1879, you're probably not going to find a model match, but you can find properties of similar utility and look at them like that. Are you going to be worried about specific bedroom and bathroom and half bathroom counts? Probably not as much as you would in an analysis of a property in a subdivision where that is a real factor. You may be looking at other factors. What are these storage outbuildings like? Is there a swimming pool? Those kind of things. At the end of the day, I would love to take on this assignment because it's a chance to probably charge a really decent fee, do some really interesting research, and make a really interesting analysis. I will go right there with Steve and say, if you're trying to shoehorn this property into a 1004 form, you might be barking up the wrong tree. This probably would lend itself more to a narrative where you can explain, here's what I did. I went and found sales from around the country. Here's what I did. I went and found sales that are older. Here's how I've addressed those issues, and here's why I did it and why I had to do it, and here's what it means. So, look, I appreciate the question. Steve, really good points on that. Anything you want to add after what I had to say?
Yeah, another thing to look at is it's an opportunity to expand your non-lender work too, possibly, right? Because there's not a lot of these out there. Next time one of them comes up, they're gonna say, "Oh, well, who did the last one?" or something like that. So that's another avenue. I mean, I think a lot of appraisers would probably look at it, say, "Oh, there's no comps, a lot of work. They don't want to put the effort or time in." But I think that could pay huge dividends down the road for you.
Absolutely. And, when, Jim mentioned the podcast that we did in Ireland, where we looked at a manor house on 600 acres, unique property, 300-year-old home, been in the family since 1690 something, just a unique property. How do you get your head around that? And one of the things that the valuer I was talking to in Ireland said, you're looking for similar utility, and the only way to do it is just start. Like he said, the old adage of, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And if you get your head around doing this kind of thing, number one, there aren't people that buy properties like this, a lot of times are not borrowing money. They've reached a stage in life where they've got, assets to make these kind of transactions on their own. If you get this one done, call a friend, become competent, get your head around it, do the work, put together a really solid analysis. I think Steve's point of, once you do the first one, once you get some help to do the first one and do a really good job with it, those kind of jobs pay well and they're fun. They exercise our brains as real estate appraisers to explore different methods of valuation theory. So I wouldn't shy away from this. I would not lean too heavily on the cost approach. I would lean on some market-based information wherever possible. Now, I'm not saying you discount the cost approach, but there are a lot of things to consider there. Just calculating depreciation from various factors alone is going to be really difficult to get your head around. Steve, I think we've done a really good job of muddying the waters on this question. Surely whoever asked it is sitting there scratching their head saying, I don't know what to do now. Morrison, how did we do?
You guys did great. I really appreciate the feedback. We'll have to definitely reach out and give them advance notice of this, because that was the question came in a little bit ago, but I thought it'd be perfect for this episode.
I love it.
Tell them to come to Val Expo. We can talk about it at Val Expo or the AXE conference. Right?
Absolutely. And we'll see you at Val Expo too, where we'll be doing our Buzzy Award winners. We're doing that August 12th. The Val Expo is August 11th through the 13th at Caesar's Palace. So thank you so much, Steve.
Hey, thank both of you for this. Like I said, all of us here at DHI are truly honored to win this Lender of the Year award, and thank you very much.
Well, if we have nothing else, for Jim Morrison and Steve Tessman, I'm Hal Humphreys, and that is your Appraisal Buzzcast for this week.